Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to East Texas today on KTK Plus. My name is Tristan Van Beam, and I will be your host for this morning. I love doing these shows, and I'm so glad to be back. I hope that y'all had a great weekend. I had a pretty fun one myself. But it is Monday, and it's time to get back in the groove of things and get you all your regularly scheduled news. So, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it with our first story of the morning, which is about an East Texas state representative named Jay Dean, who is calling for the release of Caden Hawkins, a 22-year-old from Hallsville that Dean said is being held as a cash asset in Mexico. According to Dean, Hawkins was arrested as he was heading home from working on an oil field when his GPS led him across the border. Hawkins had a legally registered firearm in the vehicle when he was arrested. Dean told KTK News that he spoke with Hawkins' family on Sunday. Hawkins has reportedly been held in Juarez, Mexico for the past 9 months. His family has been trying to secure his release for months and has had to pay thousands of dollars to try and help Caden. Dean said on Sunday, Hallsville native 22-year-old Caden Hawkins is being held as a cash asset for a corrupt federal judge in Juarez, Mexico. His family has been extorted for months, forced to pay over $1,000 a week so Caden can have hot water, toilet paper, and semi-protection from violent inmates. This is absolutely unacceptable, and we need to band together to force our federal government to bring Caden home. Dean asked the community to contact other Texas lawmakers, including Nathaniel Moran, Ted Cruz, and Attorney General Ken Paxton, in order to help bring Caden home before Christmas. Caden's mother, April Thomas, said, quote, "He is our world. We want him with us. I understand that there are a lot of people that don't understand this or have negative things to say. You are entitled to feel how you want to. I will tell you this, no matter how you feel, I can promise that our family doesn't want anything except our son home. Caden is the type of person that would help anyone out, and he has done it many times. He is not a criminal and doesn't even have a criminal history. He is a good person. This has been our living life for 9 months too long. We are only asking for his story to be shared and for calls to be made. Please help us bring our boy home." KTK News has contacted the State Department for more information about Caden's case. Wow, 9 months in a Mexico prison. That does sound like a very unfortunate situation. And if you guys want to help Caden, feel free to check out our article on our website. I believe as of right now, it is the #1 article on our homepage at KTK.com. So feel free to check that out if you want to learn more or see how you can contact those Texas lawmakers to help Caden come home. And a lawsuit claims that an East Texas ministry program ran an unpaid labor scheme. A federal lawsuit claims an East Texas rehabilitation program built underground manual labor instead functioned as an unpaid labor pipeline, one that sees participants' tips, controlled their benefits, and kept them from working across several businesses. The lawsuit filed in the Eastern District of Texas details accusations against Timothy Wiseman, Wiseman Industries, Wiseman Transport LLC, and 10 unnamed defendants and the Ministry Recovery Program, Isaiah 58 Farms. According to its website, Isaiah 58 Farms is a 150-acre income-producing commercial blackberry farm with housing for up to 40 men, allowing residents to, quote, experience restoration and recovery, end quote. It's been active since 2003, and Wiseman Industries says it helps individuals dealing with, quote, life-controlling issues. However, the lawsuit argues that Tim Wiseman and Wiseman Ministries failed to pay employees despite requiring them to work 40-hour weeks. The lawsuit claims that instead of lawful wages, participants received, quote, points or credits. The lawsuit read, quote, program participants across these facilities routinely work 40 or more hours per week, rather than being paid lawful wages for work. Excuse me, y'all. Wages for the work. Participants receive only normal, quote, points or credits, typically valued by defendants at approximately $1 per hour or day. They are not paid overtime compensation for hours worked over 40 hours in a week. Once again, that is a quote from the lawsuit itself. And in addition to farm labor, workers were reportedly required to work at other Wiseman associated businesses, including Gifts of Grace resale stores in Longview and Soapy King Car Wash in Henderson, where participants could receive cash tips. The suit alleges Wiseman seized those tips as well. The lawsuit further states that the firm also operates a sawmill with its products sold and transported through Wiseman Transports. All labor for the farm and sawmill is performed by program participants, including probationers from Harrison County, such as the plaintiff in the case. Beyond probationers, the program is said to include individuals who are homeless or discharged and mental health patients from Harrison County. Quote, defendant recruits and accept those vulnerable individuals who the program where they are required to perform uncompensated labor under the same unlawful practices, a quote from the lawsuit says. At Isaiah 58 Farms, defendants allegedly required or coerced participants to give up their SNAP benefits for program use. The average participant received $292 each month, of which $192 was taken for program expenses. Any unused portion of the remaining $100, which was allegedly seized by Wiseman. Participants could only receive cash payments for, quote, points they had accrued if they, quote, successfully completed a program determined made solely by Tim Wiseman, or his agents. Even when cash was issued, the lawsuit states that Wiseman or his agents had to approve how the money could be spent. The lawsuit describes turnover at the facility as, quote, exceedingly high, although the program operates about 40 men. Roughly 5 participants leave or are removed at any time before being quickly replaced, quote, ensuring a continuous flow of unpaid labor. KETK News spoke with J.D. McMullen, counsel for the plaintiff in the case, who says the plaintiff came forward after leaving the program and realizing that what he experienced was not rehabilitation, but exploitation. McMullen now represents additional former participants who worked at Wiseman's other locations and, quote, their stories echo the same pattern of unpaid labor, controlling, and misuse of benefits, end quote. McMullen believes the number of people affected could reach into the hundreds, with a clearer picture expected as the case progresses. McMullen said, quote, we are seeking accountability, fair compensation for the work that was done, and real change going forward. At the end of the day, this case is about protecting people and making sure these practices never happen again. The defense filed a motion to dismiss the case in early November, with the plaintiff legal team given until December 8th to submit their response in opposition. Wow, yeah, I know that was a lot of information for you all to digest just then, but I have that full article over on KETK.com as well. That's going to be on our homepage. If you want to go ahead and just scan this QR code on your screen, that will take you right over there, and you can be able to read more about that story. Moving on to our next story of the morning, Tyler residents celebrated Arbor Day this weekend by planting more than 70 trees at Lindsay Park on Saturday. The state of Texas used to celebrate Arbor Day in January, but Texas Arbor Day is in November since that's a better time to plant trees in Texas. Volunteer Tim Fairhead said Saturday's event was the perfect way to give back to the community while enjoying the outdoors. Fairhead said in a quote, we really enjoy the outdoors, so we thought, we live a mile down the road. this was a perfect opportunity for us to come out and kind of get back to the community and get involved with the community and help out the environment. So it was a kind of no-brainer for us." End quote. The city of Tyler has had Tree City USA status for the past 16 years, thanks in part to the city's annual observance of Arbor Day. And over in other news in Tyler, the Rose City Comedy is closing for repairs after cutting ties with Black Hawk Creek Grill. Rose City Comedy said they'll no longer be partnered with Black Hawk Creek Grill, a White House restaurant that helped the Tyler Comedy Club get into their new location. Citing different business philosophies, Rose City Comedy announced the end of their partnership in a Facebook post on Saturday. The club will remain at their new location on Old Jacksonville Highway, but they will be closing for repairs and deep cleaning from November 22nd to December 5th. Rose City Comedy said on Saturday, quote, "We are grateful for their early involvement in helping bring Rose City Comedy to its current location, but Christopher Blakeman, the founder of RCC, and Aaron Skinner, owner of BHC, now hold differing business philosophies and incompatible visions for the future," end quote. Rose City Comedy said all the shows from November 22nd to December 5th will be rescheduled and all tickets will be refunded. The club said, quote, "We sincerely thank the East Texas community for its continued support, loyalty, and understanding as we work to ensure the long-term success of Rose City Comedy. We will be back to the laughter very soon." Wow, I personally have never been to Rose City Comedy. I do actually enjoy comedy clubs, so hopefully whenever they get back up and running in December 5th, I can find some time to go over there. I just absolutely love stand-up, and now that I know about this place, that'd be a great little weekend spot for me to go to. Alrighty, y'all. Well, it is time for the first break of the morning. I hope that you guys are all enjoying yourselves on this East Texas Today show in the morning right here at 9 a.m. I got plenty of stories coming up for you all later on in the show, and stick around to see the full interview that I had with an East Texas dietitian about foods that you can try to get while there might be some financial instability in the economy right now in East Texas. But more on that when we come back from the break, and I will see you all then. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to East Texas Today on KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan Van Beem, and it is so great to have you all for another wonderful morning of news. And to start us off, excuse me, y'all, having a little bit of troubles this morning. To start us off for our first story back from the break, the Smith County Sheriff's Office said a 23-year-old woman was killed by 3 pit bull dogs that viciously attacked her in Tyler on Friday. According to the Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the 1500 block of Northwood Drive in Tyler at around 4:15 p.m. on Tuesday for an animal call. The first deputy on scene saw a woman lying in the backyard of a home as 3 pit bulls attacked her. The deputy was reportedly able to shoot and kill one of the pit bulls, which caused the other 2 dogs to run away. The deputy was able to remove the woman's body from the backyard, but she died because of her injuries from the dog attack. The Smith County Sheriff's Office told KTK News that the other 2 dogs were handled by Smith County Animal Control. Officials with the Sheriff's Office said the woman was dog-sitting the pit bulls that attacked her, since the homeowners were out of town. The Smith County Sheriff's Office is investigating the attack, and Smith County Precinct 2 Justice of Peace Andy Dunklin has ordered an autopsy. The deputy also received minor injuries during the attack and is being treated at a local hospital. Wow, that is just absolutely devastating news. Everyone at home, please keep the victim's family and loved ones in your thoughts and prayers. That is an absolutely sad story to hear. Uh, I know that's not one that's easy to digest in the morning, but got to bring you these stories just to keep you up in the loop. And I'm sure there is some sort of GoFundMe whenever I can find that. Hopefully tomorrow morning I'll be able to have that information for y'all. I know we have an article link on our website, KETK.com. Not sure if there's a GoFundMe in there, but hopefully there is one up for this victim's family soon, and they can get the support that they need. Unfortunately, we do have to move on to another story, which is the National Weather Service in Shreveport has confirmed that an EF1 tornado struck near Jacksonville in Cherokee County on Thursday. According to the National Weather Service, also known as NWS, the EF1 tornado touched down east of State Highway 135 at around 9 p.m. on Thursday, near County Road 4212, which is 3 miles to the southwest of Jacksonville. NWS said the tornado was strong enough to produce 100-mile-per-hour winds and destroyed a large barn near a home, threw metal roofing several hundred yards away, and snapped trees and downed power lines. Along County Road 4212, the tornado threw a carport on top of a garage and a mobile home and had its back porch blown off. Then NWS said that another barn was destroyed. Another carport was blown away and a home was damaged near where County Road 4212 and County Road 4213 merge into each other. The tornado then left the ground 72 miles from where it started in a field near train tracks that run toward SH 135. Wow, I mean, just look at that damage that is in those pictures right there. I know that we have a lot of rain going on today, so be on the lookout for any tornadoes. We're going to get Braden in here in a little bit to discuss the weather and what's expected for the rest of today and then also the rest of the week. But just look at all that tornado damage. I know that we had some coverage of some possible storms that went on last week, but yeah, it was confirmed there was a big EF1 tornado that occurred over there in Cherokee County. So hopefully everyone's okay. We updated you on the damage, but I don't believe there has been any injuries that are reported in this tornado case as of right now. But if there are, I'm sure that we can get you all updated on that as soon as possible. And then moving on to our next story, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has reappointed 3 East Texans to serve on the board of directors of the Sabine River Authority of Texas. Richard Blair Abney of Marshall and Josh McAdams of Center and Cliff Todd of Long Branch were all reappointed to the board on Thursday, along with Kevin M. Williams of Crange. As members of the Sabine River Authority Board of Directors, the East Texans will help to conserve, store, control, preserve, utilize, and distribute the Sabine River's waters. Todd is a farmer and rancher in Panola County and serves as an executive vice president for Top Cat Companies in Longview. Todd's also a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers and a board member of UT Health Carthage and a commissioner with the Panola County Emergency Services District. He received his Bachelor's of Science degree in agriculture from Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches. Abney works as an appraiser, owns Abney Valuation Group, PLLC, and is a member of the Appraisal Institute, the National Government Relations Committee, and the Pliz Family Foundation. He got his bachelor's degree for business administration in accounting from Baylor University in Waco. McAdams owns Midstream Transportation and serves as vice president of McAdams Propane Company and president-elect of Texas Propane Gas Association, president of Shelby County Children's Advocacy Center, and is a member of the National Propane Association. He got his bachelor's degree for business administration in management from Texas A&M University. And to learn more, visit Sabine River Authority of Texas online. I know that's a lot of qualifications that we just went over about these men, but once again, you can go ahead and click this QR code on our website if you want to read that article giving you an update about the Sabine River Authority and those in running. And then moving on to our next story for the morning, the Trinity Valley Community College Cardinals were getting in the holiday spirit this week by lighting up their very own Christmas tree on campus. Let me go ahead and pull that up for y'all. Wednesday's tree lighting ceremony featured much more than the lighting of their tree. They also had performances from the TVCC Cardettes, the TVCC Choir, the TVCC Band, the TVCC Cheer, and even Father Christmas himself. A quote from Santa Claus, look at that, Santa Claus himself said, "Christmas is a magical time. We do try to give everybody the things that they asked for and that they need. It's a great way to spread joy, spread joy in the birth of our Savior and in just spreading cheer," end quote. Once again, that is a quote from Santa himself, y'all. So he came up to speak to KTK News, and that is just awesome that we got a quote from Santa. The ceremony also allowed Cardinals to warm up the hot cocoa and snacks. The Cardinals also played games and got to take their pictures with Santa. To learn more about the Cardinals, visit TVCC online. Wow, that is just amazing that KTK News got to speak to Santa Claus himself. But I want to remind you all that while Christmas is coming up, and that is a very exciting time of the year, we still have Thanksgiving coming up this Thursday and Black Friday as well. Try not to skip over Thanksgiving, y'all. It is a very important holiday, and I know that a lot of people do celebrate it, especially around here in the East Texas area. So that is just coming up right around the corner here, less than a few days. And as far as I know it right now, I will be having the East Texas Today show on Thanksgiving and not Black Friday, excuse me, but on Thanksgiving. So I will be here for you all on your Thanksgiving. Don't worry, I'm not missing out on any celebration. My family just does it on weekends, so I was able to come in and work on that day. Now, don't get me wrong, I still am pretty excited for Christmas, but I just feel like we should all make sure that we remember that Thanksgiving is coming up, and then once that passes, we can just get right into the holiday cheer as usual. And it is time to take another break, but when we come back, I think Braden is ready to go over that weather for you all and see what's going to be going on in the East Texas area the rest of today and also in the rest of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to break, and then we come back. Let's see if we can get Braden here in the studio. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to East Texas Today on KETK Plus. And as I told you right before the break, I was going to go ahead and bring in Braden to give you an update on the weather for today and the rest of the week. Braden, how are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well myself. On my way over to work this morning, I kind of ran into some rain, and I think there's going to be a lot more rain throughout the day and just kind of throughout the day and throughout the week as well. Could you just kind of give us an update on that weather and just go ahead and jump right into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Looks pretty stormy out there. We've seen a lot of cloud cover here across the area and also some shower and thunderstorm activity. As you can see here, we do indeed have some rain falling right now in the city of Tyler. Also, temperatures in those upper 50s, winds about 11 miles an hour. And as we look at what we're seeing for you with regards to the satellite and radar picture, you can see that warm front is approaching here from the south. So we are looking at that eventually making its way up here into the East Texas area. And we'll also be looking for those temperatures to warm once it does so. So we do have that potential for some severe weather later on this afternoon. Zooming in right now on that radar picture, it shows some heavier showers and storms, especially over towards Longview this morning, over towards Marshall and up to Jefferson, as we've got some heavier thunderstorms over that way, and also some moderate to heavy rainfall at times as you head farther on off to the west, over towards the DFW area and into some of our northwestern counties with some flash flooding issues in that direction. And as we look at those rain chances, 90% coverage through the day today, and then down to 50% as we head into this coming weekend. So it looks like dry weather for Thanksgiving, luckily, and then more in the way of those rain chances by the weekend. And then Futurecast does show that potential for showers and storms ramping up as we go through this afternoon. And then we'll see things start to taper off as we head into the evening. And then eventually in Deep East Texas, things will finally taper off by around the midnight hour and temperatures will cool down. As we look at that severe outlook, we've got a slight risk in place for a large portion of the area, including the I-20 corridor and farther to the south across Deep East Texas. And then some of these severe threats today include hail, damaging winds, tornadoes, and flash flooding. So it's going to be an all hazards type of day today. And we have that potential for some flash flooding. That excessive rainfall outlook does indeed show that we have that potential as we go through this afternoon and evening. And the highest potential for some flooding may actually be along the I-30 corridor with repeated rounds of some of that heavy rainfall. But as far as rain totals over the coming 7 days, looks like with today's rain added on top of the rain that we could see by this coming weekend, we could be talking about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. So lots of rain on the way over the next 7 days. And as far as those temperatures go this afternoon, highs will climb into the 70s, maybe even approaching 80 down across Deep East Texas. And then we'll look for those lows tonight to fall into the 50s across much of the area. So things will start to cool down as we head into tonight. Looking at that forecast today, showers and storms are likely, some of which could be strong to severe, temperatures in the 70s. And then tonight, lows fall into the 50s with storms coming to an end by midnight, likely at the latest for most of us. And as we look here at your 7-day forecast, we continue, of course, to have dry weather, luckily, through Thursday. So that is great news there. Cool as well, temperatures in the 60s, and then more rain chances heading into the weekend. As we look at Deep East Texas, we'll also have that potential for some strong storms today, and then dry and cool for Thanksgiving, and more storm chances there as we head into your weekend by this coming Saturday and Sunday.
All right, well, thank you so much, Braden. As you heard him, got a possible storm chances, so be on the lookout and be on the lookout for all that rain. When we come back from the break, I'm going to go ahead and play that full interview for you all about the East Texas dietitian who is going to let you know about some foods that you can focus on if you are on a tight budget. Go ahead and stick with me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to East Texas Today on KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan Van Beam. And for those of you who are just now joining me on the show today, we just had Braden in the studio who went over some weather that is expected for today and then some weather later on in the week. And he did talk about how today there is chance to see some storms. A lot of rain going on this morning. I got over here to the studio a little bit before 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was raining pretty good. So, and it looks like it's gonna be raining throughout most of the rest of our day. I think there might just be like an hour or two long break, and then it's pretty much just gonna go into the nighttime from there on out. So, be safe if you're driving on the roads. I know I had to drive pretty slow on the way over here just to ensure that I was getting over here safely. So be sure you're staying safe, staying dry, bust out those umbrellas and the raincoats and the rain boots. Do whatever you can if you have to go outside today. But yeah, just know that there is some rain that is coming and expected for the rest of our day today. But as I mentioned before the break as well, I'm going to go ahead and talk about and then later on play an interview with an East Texas dietitian that I had in here last week to go over some foods and some suggested foods that you could have if you are struggling with finances or just kind of in a tight situation this holiday season, or just honestly for throughout life, honestly, if you really need that help to get the amount of food that you need. With many Americans struggling in today's economy, some people are just trying to stretch that money at the grocery store as much as they possibly can. So I actually brought in, her name is Allison Redding, and we discussed foods that you can find at the grocery stores, some stuff that you can try to focus on to make from scratch and make plenty of meals with in order to get as much bang for your buck as possible at the grocery stores, especially if you are having some financial struggles. But enough about me talking about it. I'm just going to go ahead and play that full interview for you all right now. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching KTK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan Van Beem, and today I would like to discuss the topic of nutrition. Now, while the government shutdown may be over and some aspects of that shutdown are returning back to normal, I'm sure there are some people out there who are possibly in the East Texas area who are having a hard time paying for the food they need. Many Americans are struggling in today's economy, and some are battling financial struggles that limit how much food they can put on the table. Here with me today is Allie Redding, a dietitian out of Tyler, who is here to discuss how you can best utilize the funds that you have on buying what you or your family needs to function on a daily basis. Allie, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Tristan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on to KTK Plus. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And I just want to ask, can you tell me a little bit about your work as a dietitian and how do you help people in the East Texas area reach their goals?
Yes, of course. So I am a private practice dietitian in Tyler, Texas, and everybody's goal is different. And so I really work hard to meet with clients who have different nutritional needs, different health goals. Depends on lab work, past medical history, weight loss, weight gain. I kind of see and work with everybody, all ages. It just depends on where they're at in life and what they're looking to improve for their future.
Now, today, some people may only have a certain amount of money to spend on food every month, and I just wanted to ask you, what groups are best to focus on and getting the proper nutrients day to day?
Yeah, I think this is a really great question. I agree with you. I think it's very timely for the economy that we are in. People are going to the grocery store and trying to make their dollars stretch a little bit farther. So, the first thing that I always tell people is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store because that's where you're going to get the most whole food items. And while there are some items that are going to be more expensive than packaged food, it tends to go a lot further nutritionally. So, you're getting more bang for your buck nutrition wise. Another thing to really think through is how can you prepare more foods at home rather than having to go out to eat? And then what foods can you make that are normally packaged? So one of the things that tends to be pretty easy and go a pretty long way is going to be the rice and beans. You can either buy them canned or make them yourself at home from the package. Both are going to provide a pretty good amount of nutrition there. And then I'm a pretty big fan of frozen food because if you have freezer space, that's going to go a long way too. And again, you maximize your nutritional value there. Whatever foods you can find seasonally in the produce section, those are going to be a little bit cheaper. But the ones that are not in season, you can look for those in the canned food or even more preferably the frozen food section. There's a lot you can do with just those basics of having a grain, which tends to be more economically friendly, and then beans, which tends to be also a more economically friendly protein source, and then fruits and vegetables. If you start with those basics, and then you can build off of that, adding in meat, which may be more expensive, but again, goes a lot farther from a nutrition standpoint with the protein. Dairy is the same way. You can really build a pretty good, balanced, nutritionally dense meal that way.
Now, I like how you brought up energy sources that come from food. We can talk about sugars, proteins, and carbohydrates and stuff like that. So I just want to ask, is there a more important source of energy that comes from food that we can get? Like I've heard some people say that's protein, some people say that it's carbs because carbs give you that energy throughout the day. So what is your professional opinion on the energy sources that we need? Which one to you is the most important?
Yeah, this is another very topical question since protein has been in the news for a while now. I do think it's really important to get enough protein. So I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad or something that we need to steer away from. But I will say that going back to that idea of balance, it is a little bit more pertinent, I would say, to focus on getting all of the main macronutrients in our diet. So that's going to be your fat, your protein, and your carbohydrates. So carbs are a quick fuel. That's what makes us feel like we have more energy quicker. And again, going back to those whole food sources, fruits, vegetables, grains, we can buy those in an economical way, and they do provide a lot of nutrition, quick energy, They fuel our muscles, they fuel our brains. It's really important to have carbs. And then protein is also a really important part of that. It, is a repair. It's part of what repairs our body, builds our muscles, hair, skin, nails. There's so many things that protein is important for, and it also increases satiety, meaning it helps our meals go a little bit further. We don't get hungry as quickly, and it's just a better source of fuel, especially if you're trying to monitor your weight, because of that satiety factor, and helps protect lean body mass. And then with our fats, we do get more calories from fats than we do the other two macronutrients. So we still need them in our diet, but we have to be a little bit more particular about where we get them from. So I encourage people to really look at those plant sources of healthy fats like avocados and oils, some of the same foods that have those fatty oils in them are where we also get the oil that we can cook with. So avocado oil, olive oil, similar opportunities there to get the adequate nutrition from our fats.
So it mainly seems like you just have to have a good balance, right? Just make sure that you do need all of these food
Yes.
sources, even though some of you may be bad at times, but everything is okay in moderation. So that kind of just leads me to asking about the different age groups and what they need in moderation. Is there a big difference in what children need nutritionally from adults? Like obviously the portion sizes will be different, but do growing kids need something that us adults typically can go without, or is it more just about making sure that you get those kids away from the bad food?
That's another good question that I think I will answer by saying I think there needs to be more consideration on how to encourage children to eat a larger variety of food, because they really don't know. That's not something that they're initially going to know as they're growing, is that a variety of food is going to help them grow in a more healthy way. Whereas adults kind of know that, they are aware enough of what foods are going to make them not feel as good versus others. Kids are also growing, whereas adults are not growing. And so we want to make sure that kids are getting all the different vitamin sources that they need, which come from different types of foods. That's where the food group variety comes into play. We're getting different nutrition, micronutrients and macronutrients from those different foods. So I would say it's pretty important to expose kids to a variety of food. Now, kids are going to be pickier, but they will learn to have more variety in their diet as they're introduced to more things, and that becomes more normal to them. And then you mentioned, what should we stay away from? So kids and adults are kind of on the same page, as where we can overload on the sugar pretty easily. Sugar,
right.
salt, that sweet savory combination tends to be where we can overeat on foods that don't give us as much nutrient density. So we get more caloric density without the nutrition.
I mean, that makes sense. You don't turn 18 and all of a sudden candy's good for you. So
Yeah,
or candy's good for
exactly.
you or anything like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So really focusing on how to help kids learn how to do that in moderation. And sometimes you can ask them how they feel after they eat something maybe that's really high in sugar, or in fried food. Or if they say, oh man, I don't feel very good, kind of bring awareness to, hey, these are foods that sometimes don't make us feel good. So that can be a touch point for learning as well.
All right, and then I know there's a lot of opinions out there from dietitians or nutritionists or professionals just as yourself on common misconceptions about what actual healthy food is. Now, I feel like most people could just assume that's probably your fruits and vegetables, but do you see a lot of different, what's your personal opinion on the kind of healthy foods that are just great for you to eat pretty much on a daily basis?
Great for us to eat on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, too much anything is bad for you, but I just mean on a
Right.
consistent basis, that you can count on if you want to stay healthy.
Yeah, no, that makes me think about how food makes me feel, or makes other people feel. And so that is something I talk to clients a lot about, because what we like can differ pretty drastically, but there is a baseline for what makes us feel good. And there's something to eating more of the foods that make you feel good. Your tastes also develop towards those foods to a degree as well. So going back to the fruits and vegetables, I mean, it's a cliche for a reason. Those foods really do tend to give us more water, more vitamins, minerals. They're the quick energy sources. I go back to that concept of whole grains and whole foods in general, right? If we grow it, or if it grows from the ground, that's probably something that's going to make us feel good. Making your own meat, not getting it as much processed from packaged foods or just from restaurants. those types of things can have a lot of additives, and that can wear on our fatigue. Part of the reason why I think we don't feel good as a nation sometimes is we're just getting a lot of extra stuff in our food from buying it already pre-made.
Well, now that we know what kind of foods to focus on and to get, one thing that I feel people are asking is where can I get the food, especially if I'm in a rough financial situation. And one great thing that I like about the area that we are in is in East Texas, is the East Texas Food Bank, which does an amazing job of helping people stay fed year round. What are some foods that people can get from the East Texas Food Bank that would benefit them in a nutritional way? I know that you may talk to them a little bit earlier on in the week and then also today. What did they tell you?
Yeah, so every food bank is going to be a little bit different, but I was really pleased to hear that the East Texas Food Bank and some of the food banks in our area follow the balanced diet idea as well. So they take the concept of the My Plate and they use that in order to help people focus on what variety of foods to get. So we go back to that concept of they get canned beans, they get rice or a whole grain pasta, they can get fresh or frozen produce of different kinds. They get different types of fruit, and then they're also getting some meat or dairy options during that haul as well. And so we're kind of hitting all the major macronutrients that we just talked about: the carbs, the healthy fats, and the protein. You're also just getting a wider variety of food groups in general, so that you can hit all of those macro and micronutrient needs.
All right, Allison, was there anything else that you'd like to leave for the viewers at home as far as nutritional education?
I just keep trying to find ways to make healthy food at home that you
Right.
like. I know that it can be a huge battle to go to the grocery store and feel like you're on a budget and you don't know what to get, and it's really tempting to go towards those packaged foods. But if you try a different recipe every week, you're going to find foods that you like and that are easy to shop for and that meet your budget restrictions.
All right, well, thank you so much, Allison. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming on to KTK Plus today.
Thank you so much, Tristan. It's great to be here.
All right, everyone, that was Allison Redding, a local dietitian who just gave us some tips on where to shop in the grocery store and what foods to shop for whenever you are trying to save up as much money as possible. Thank you so much once again, Allison, for doing that interview with me earlier last week. I believe we did that interview on Thursday. I can't exactly remember. Yeah, I think it was Thursday or something like that. But yeah, it is. I'm going to go ahead and send us into another break. But whenever we come back, you know, I had to bring you some sports. I've told you guys that I'm a big sports guy, and I just love to, especially football. And I have two football stories for you as some local East Texas college teams, they're getting it done. One of them brought home a championship, and then one of them got themselves in the playoffs. And both of these teams are starting to see some success that they haven't really had for the past few years. So we'll learn more about that whenever we come back from the break. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to East Texas today on KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan Van Beem. It is so great to have you here for the last leg of the morning show. I know it kind of went by kind of quick, especially for those of you watching at home. It went by quick for me, honestly. This was kind of one of the more faster shows I've had recently. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with two really great sports stories that I mentioned right before we went into the break, as we have some East Texas football just absolutely killing it. I'm going to go ahead and start this off with the third-ranked TJC Apaches football team, who took down Northeastern Oklahoma A&M 33-14 in Saturday's Southwest Junior College Football Conference Championship game.
2025 Tyler Junior College Apaches.
Number 3, TJC improved to 11-0 with the win and captured its first SWJ CFC title since 2000. Sorry, y'all, am I not that loud? Hold up. Let me get this volume up a little bit. There we go. Okay. The historic victory also helped the Apaches, currently 11-0, finish the regular season unbeaten for the first time since 1960. Wow. 4 different Apaches found the end zone in Saturday's win, and TJC's defense finished with 3 interceptions, including a pick 6 by Jannard Lockhart that put TJC up 7-0 in the first quarter. TJC running back Bryce Burgess ran it in for a touchdown to put up the Apaches up 14-0 with 6 minutes and 52 seconds left in the first quarter. Over on special teams, the Apaches blocked a neo field goal that would have tied the game at 17 just before the half. Then TJC drove down the field and Daniel Matthews hit a field goal to put the Apaches up 20-14 heading into the half. TJC backup quarterback Luke Ulrich ran it in for 6 to give the Apaches a 27-14 lead with 3 minutes and 19 seconds to go in the third quarter. TJC QB Trey Guerra handed it off to James Lee, and Lee scampered in for a rushing touchdown to extend the Apaches' lead to a 34-14 win with 14 minutes and 31 seconds remaining on the game. TJC head football coach Tanner Jacobison and Guerra talked after the game about Saturday's big win with the incredible ride the undefeated Apaches have been on this season. Jacobison said, quote, "It's a culmination of all the work we put in for several months now. I told them in our team meeting this morning, I said, hey, you know we didn't win the championship today. We won the championship in the way we've worked since January all the way through spring ball. Throughout the summer, throughout the season, right how we've responded through adversity, and so today's just the fun part. Today is the manifestation of all the work that we put in, so really happy that we came out and executed today." Number 3, TJC football will wait to see its upcoming opponent in the NJCAA Division I Football National Semifinals. Well, congrats TJC football. It is great to see you guys capture that first conference championship title since the 2000 year. All right, now I kind of got to wrap this up quick because we're running out of showtime, but I really want to get both these stories in. The SFA Lumberjacks football team is right back in the postseason for the first time since 2021, and on Sunday, the Jacks learned that they'll be the number 7 seed in the FCF playoffs. SFA beat Northwestern State 62-14 on Thursday, November 20th, to win its 10th straight game and wrap up the 2025 regular season with a 10-2 record. With the win over the Demons, the Jacks captured the outright Southlands Conference title, their first title since 2010. As one of the top 8 seeds in the field of 24 teams, SFA earns a first-round bye in the FCF playoffs and will host either Lamar or number 10 Abilene Christian in the second round. SFA lost to ACU by 8 earlier this season, and the Jacks beat Lamar 26-15 in their second to last regular season game. Regardless of who SFA faces in the second round, the Jacks are savoring their return to the FCF playoffs and are focused on making a run to Nashville. SFA football coach Colby Carthel said, quote, "I think just what they've done over the last 10, 12 weeks speaks for itself, all the way back to the game 1. You know, there's not many teams in FCS that can say they held the Houston Cougars to 3 3 and outs. I mean, that showed kind of where we were defensively, and we've built on that, and offensively gotten people healthy and playing at a much higher level throughout the year, and so I think it's well-deserved. You saw the reaction from the kids. They're excited. Their bye week, it helps because we are banged up. Everybody in the country is banged up at this time of the year, so to be able to just practice this week, hold some guys out, get some guys maybe a little healthier. You're never going to be 100%, but I think that definitely was warranted, needed, and guys were excited about it. SFA will host the winner of Lamar versus number 10 Abilene Christian on Saturday, December 6th at noon from Homer Bryce Stadium in Nacogdoches. Alrighty, y'all, well, thank you so much for joining me on East Texas today on KETK+. Really appreciate you sticking around and watching all the stories this morning. I will see you all next time.